Hi, this is Christy. Let's do a word problem together. I'm going to be referring to my Solving Math Word Problems checklist. Step number 1, understand the problem. Read and reread the problem. An ice cream factory makes 240 quarts of ice cream in 10 hours. How many quarts could be made in 36 hours? Let's reread that and make note of any numbers or units that we might need. An ice cream factory makes 240 quarts, that's probably important, of ice cream in 10 hours. How many quarts? How many quarts, they're looking for a number, could be made in 36 hours? Okay, I've got a lot more than just two numbers this time. Well, a few more than two numbers this time. Let's go to the next step, which is to visualize or draw it and look up unknown words. Now, when I buy ice cream, of course I've got a couple of kids and a husband, I buy it in a size like this. Let's just make this clear. Have you seen those rectangular shapes like that? Draw a little bowl of ice cream, a little dish, I should say. Here's the ice cream, okay? These rectangular shapes are actually half gallons. And there are 4 quarts per gallon, so a half gallon is going to have 2 quarts. But the question says the ice cream factory is making quarts. Well, of course we don't buy this size in my house, but you've probably seen in a store where they have the tubs that look like this. This is 1 quart of ice cream. Right there. So the ice cream factory makes 240 of this quart-size ice cream in 10 hours. How many quarts could be made in 36 hours? Now, there aren't any unknown words there other than quart, which we just talked about. Now, the next step says determine what the question is asking you to find. The question wants to know a number. How many quarts could be made in 36 hours? They've given us the amount of quarts that you can make in 10 hours. So it might not be obvious, but this is going to be a rate problem. In other problems we've talked about a rate might be, for instance, distance over time. This time it's actually going to be an amount of something. For instance, you could have had pay. You could have pay per hour or pay over time. You can still get a rate like this. This rate is going to be an amount of something over time. In fact, it's going to be in quarts. That's how we can measure. Quarts over time. So what we're going to have to do is find out how many quarts of ice cream the factory can make in just 1 hour. We're going to find the base rate or the unit rate. And then we'll multiply it by 36. Okay, so that's what we're looking for, and we have everything that we need to solve the problem. Step number 2, make a plan. Come up with a strategy and estimate the answer. Let's just write out our strategy for the plan. Step 1, find the number of quarts made in 1 hour, and we're asked how many could they make in 36 hours. So step 2 is going to be multiply that number by 36 hours. There we are. Now let's talk about our estimate. We'll have to think about this for a second. The factory makes 240 quarts of ice cream in 10 hours. 36 hours is about 4 times 10 hours. So I am guessing that the factory can make 4 times as much ice cream. Let's round this number down to 200. What's 200 times 4? 800. My estimate that it's going to be about 800 quarts that can be made in 36 hours. Well, let's see if we're right. Step number 3, solve the problem. Write out all work neatly, make several attempts to solve the problem, don't give up, and double check your math. So, let's work with the solution here. Step number 1, find the number of quarts made in 1 hour. 240 quarts in 10 hours. We could get a calculator out, or we could cancel our zeros. 0 on the top cancels with a 0 on the bottom. And I'm left with 24 quarts for every 1 hour. That's the rate. Now, step number 2, multiply that by 36 hours. So we have 24 quarts every 1 hour is being made. This is going to be nice the way it's turning out because I want to multiply it by 36 hours. And do you see what happens? I have hour on the top and hour on the bottom. I'm going to cancel these units out. And what units am I left with? Quart, right here. 24 times 36, that's going to give me some number, and the unit is going to be in quarts. So let's use our calculator for that. 24 times 36. 24 times 36, enter. 864. $864 quarts was made in 36 hours. Let's go back to this one where it says double check your math. And let's go back up. Where we had 240 quarts divided by 10 and we canceled out the zeros. Let's just use our calculator for that, for double checking. 240 divided by 10. It does say 24. And it does. Good. Now the next one. Let's multiply again. 24 times 36. 864. So we double checked our math. Good. Step number 4, reflect on the problem. Did you answer the question, and is your answer close to the estimate? The question asked us, knowing how much ice cream is made in 10 hours, can you figure out how many quarts could be made in 36 hours? And I believe we did that. In fact, if you look back at our estimate, we said about 800 quarts, and we got 864 quarts. I think those are very close. Great job.